a feeling.
So I think you guys should sit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good stuff. I'm excited to be sharing with you. I'm going to share particularly about songwriting. Before I do that, though, there are a couple of things I feel is needful to say to you. One of them is, don't deceive me and don't deceive the rest of the class. Some of you are born songwriters. I know that already, okay? So let's not pretend. But for the purpose of those of us who are not, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you not being a born songwriter, you'd be shocked to know the number of artists who do not write their own songs, or who are even born songwriters, but have not written their hit songs, okay? So let's establish that. This is one question I always ask people, and I've asked for a number of seasons, and wherever I go and I have to talk about songwriting, I always ask. So I'm going to ask here and now, today. How many of you know Diane Warren? If you know Diane Warren, say aye. Diane Warren. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. In the next 60 seconds or less, you will find out that 80% of you sitting here know Diane Warren, but you don't know she's Diane Warren. So how many of you know the song, For All Those Times You Stood By Me? Great. How many of you know, I Will Cross the Ocean For You? Okay. How many of you know, Have You Ever Loved Somebody So? Great. How many of you know, Unbreak My Heart? Great. How many of you know, let me see, I don't want to close my eyes, I don't want to fall. Who do you think wrote those songs? Diane Warren wrote those songs and many, many, many more. She's written for everybody from Beyonce to Brandy to Toni Braxton to Monica to Celine Dion to, I mean, name it, and it's a hit, or was a hit at some point in time, or was a hit artist at some point in time. Diane Warren was involved in their career. That's how important songwriting is. Okay, so you hear these songs and you like them, and you know the artists that perform these songs, and they're great songs, okay? But guess who gets to go home with the big bucks? The songwriter, half the time. Because guess what? If somebody gets up right now and decides to redo one of those songs, right? The credit is not going to be to the artist. It's going to be to the songwriter. Okay? That's why songwriting is important. So it's great to be an artist, you know. But it's great to be an artist and a songwriter. Okay. Now there are different facets to the sphere of songwriting in music. I mean, there are techniques. There are your lists of do's and don'ts that help you, you know, and they vary from person to person. Although some of them have been proven to be, you know, almost a go-go at any point in time, where certain things have almost always worked for all songwriters, as many songwriters as have tried them. And then, of course, there are regulatory policies that govern songwriting. Because think about it. So Diane Warren writes a song like, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing with, let me see, which one of you? Let's say Christian. Let's say Diane Warren writes a song like, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing with You, right? Yes, and then, for whatever reason, you guys don't document your split. The split is what comes to a particular person who has contributed to the work, you know, which is the song. You guys don't document your split, then you begin to deal with all these legal issues that arise from that, because obviously you know that where a lot of money is involved, tensions are high, and well, the other things that go with it. So what I will be discussing with you will include the following. We'll be talking about some of the techniques to songwriting, some of the things you should do, some of the things you shouldn't do, how to find inspiration, and all of that. So, you know, all of that, and of course, policies that regulate songwriting from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and then, you know, how publishing works, and publishing societies, collecting societies that you can belong to, you know, that help to manage your rights, you know what I mean, as a songwriter and stuff like that. But I'd like for us to start simple. And in order to start simple, I'm going to share, some of us may know this, some of us may not, but I want to talk about some of the things that make for a good song. Okay? So, a good song for me, before anything else, is first and foremost inspired. Okay, so I mean, you can have a brief, for instance, to write a song that encapsulates blah 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 blah. You have, you know, all kinds of specifics, you know, that are guidelines to which you should write a song. But the most important thing in creating a good song is it must be inspired, and you know an inspired song when you hear one, right? Take, for instance, Michael Jackson's Heal the World, or We Are the World. You know what I mean? That an inspired song always hits you. You make a spiritual and an emotional connection with an inspired song. So, in songwriting, you must have inspiration to write a song. So how do you find inspiration? Maybe what I should do is hear from some of you, and then I can tell you some of the things that have worked for me. Well, that's if you don't even mention it anyways. So does anyone want to go? How do you find inspiration to write a song? Should I call names?
Yes.
Oh, no. I want you to go. Your own free will. Anybody?
Marvelous.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes I get inspired in my sleep.
Okay.
So the moment I hear the song, sometimes it's too sweet that I just sleep and I write it in the morning, but I tend to forget. But most times the song hits me real hard and I have to wake up and jot it down.
Okay. Great. That's a good. Now I have to say something to you guys. I hate formal classes. Okay, so I can deal with the rowdiness, I can deal with the tension, I can deal with the argument, I can deal with the disagreement, I can deal with the emotions, I can deal with you just being you. Okay, so one music thrives, or creativity in general thrives in an environment that is, well, there has to be discipline, but in an environment that's free, right, and unencumbered by too many rules and regulations and feelings and such, and you know what I mean. So I need you guys to be my friend. Otherwise, I'll not show up tomorrow. Okay, cool. Do you really mean that? Are you just doing it for the camera? Okay, cool. So yes, Marvelous was sharing with us that he gets inspired in his sleep. I was just going to say one or two things concerning that. One thing I realize is many a good song have been lost because when inspiration hits you in your sleep and you wake up, well, you don't remember or you don't jot it down, just like he says. But something that also helps is keeping some recording device, some form of recording device around you. So whether it's a dictaphone or it's your cell phone, whatever it is, just keep something with which you can record voice notes. Because sometimes you may not necessarily, and that's another thing we're going to talk about, even as we talk about how inspiration comes. Sometimes you may not have words, you know what I mean? You may just have melody. You know, even though for people who can read music, you can actually jot that down. And I'm assuming that, you know, Brother Marv right here.
What a feeling.